Can I ask your views about the forthcoming by-election?
You class yourself as British?
These are the issues that are hitting people.
I'd rather hit myself on the head with a hammer than vote for him. I think they've let this town down massively.
He's a lying piece of and everyone knows about it.
It made you laugh, didn't it?
Well, it's quite an arresting image.
Yeah.
Hello, folks. I do love our road trips. They're back. You remember I probably did a lot of these during the last general election in 2024, often in the south of England. Beautiful Godalming. I think today is more interesting though. We're in Cheshire. Specifically, right now I'm in Runcorn. The constituency is Runcorn Helsby. It's a new constituency, relatively new constituency. It's composed of lots of different places, like most constituencies, but this is the main settlement. Runcorn, you can see that bridge behind me. Big, beautiful bridge. Now, this is a very interesting place, politically speaking, for a lot of reasons. Right now, today, it's the 16th safest seat for Labour in the country. They won more than 50% of the vote here in the last general election. Their majority is over 15,000. Their MP was a gentleman called Mike Amesbury. He's not the MP anymore, though, because he did this. He's now a former MP. The Labour candidate for this constituency and this by-election is a person called Karen Shaw, but it's not looking good for old Karen. Labour are struggling in national polls, but local polls as well suggest that Sarah Pochin, the Reform candidate, is likely to be the next MP for Runcorn and Helsby. Of course that might change, but all the indications from polling, both national and local, suggest it's Reform's to lose. Which raises an interesting question in a way. Is the pressure now on them? And if they don't win, maybe that's a major big win for Labour, even though, as I've already said, this is the 16th safest seat in the country. The idea that Labour keeping that would somehow be a breakthrough should sound absurd. It probably isn't though. Here's the thing. Over the last 6 months, there's been a ton of polling suggesting that Reform could be the largest party in Parliament at the next general election. Long way away, but that's interesting. We're here to find out whether it's real. Are Reform really cutting through? And for this party, which is now leading in national polls quite often, what's driving the people that are inclined to vote for them? What do they want? What policies are they excited about? What's making them really angry? So let's see what the good people of Runcorn and Helsby have to say for themselves. So we're in Frodsham, which is the more affluent part of the constituency. It's the new part of the constituency, some lovely buildings, beautiful weather. Went past 3 or 4 pubs already, all doing a decent trade. Feels like a bank holiday. There's a market on today, so lots of footfall. Also get to talk to the traders. Always interesting to hear what market traders have to say about politics. We're gonna get those people, see what they think, then we're gonna run back into Runcorn, see the Reform lot, hopefully. Can I ask your views about the forthcoming by-election? No? Not who you plan to vote for?
I was disappointed that the Labour Party didn't give us the fuel allowance when they can keep thousands of migrants in hotels. Pension's not good enough to live on. It's not fit to live on. So I finished with them. I've only voted for them once in my life.
Reform?
No,
Or Labour? Yeah.
Once in my life.
When was that?
Last time for the election. And no, I've had enough of them.
Sorry, before you go, were you previously a Tory voter? What were you voting before that?
Yes. I was always a Conservative, yeah. And I voted for them last time. And within weeks, I'd regretted it.
What do you think sentiments are of people locally?
I think generally, people look at what's happening in the country. We're getting through 14 years of Tory misrule, so, you've got to bite the bullet. Taxes will go up because things need to be paid for.
Who did you vote for in the last general election? Just out of curiosity, it's something I'm asking everybody, really.
Oh, I voted Reform.
You voted Reform?
Yeah.
And in the next general election, you'd plan to vote for them again?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. The problem is with the Conservative Party, they're not right-wing enough.
Do you think that Nigel Farage would be a good Prime Minister? He's obviously a very good campaigner, he's very
charismatic.
But is that enough to govern a country?
Yes, because basically what he'll do, what the others are frightened of doing, he'll stop the boats. He won't start sending them back. He'll just push the boats back and get rid of them, and then start deporting them, like Trump has done in El Salvador. That's what we want. Just get them on a boat, get them out.
I've definitely made my mind up about the Labour Party because all they are is scrounging parasites.
And Keir Starmer obviously voted for Labour in the last general election. You voted effectively for him to be the Prime Minister. How have your views on him changed over the last year?
Well, very disappointing. Very disappointing. When he doesn't know what a woman is, that's enough for me.
What are you supposed to say about a Prime Minister who doesn't know what a woman is? I mean, what honestly? What are you supposed to say to a man like that?
Is that something that people say to you frequently?
No. My customers know what a woman is. They're mostly women, actually. So no, they know what women are. Labour have so lost in touch with working people. I mean, I know you're kind of to the left, but the treatment of working people has been appalling.
What stands out in regards to Labour's treatment of working people in the last 12 months? Not the last, the Blair government or Brown, but in the last 12 months, what really stands out for you?
Well, if you can't afford to heat your home, you can't afford to pay the rates. I don't know what the percentage the rates went up, but it was pretty big. Heating bills, they must have doubled in the last, whenever. Thanks, boss. I know most of it goes on social care. I think that's the big expenditure for council is social care. Then there's 6 billion for illegal migrants. I don't think many people are very happy about it. I don't know what you think about it, whether you think we should pay for illegal migrants. I'm not very keen.
Is that again something that people are mentioning here a lot?
Oh yeah. That is mega. Yeah. Oh, paying for illegals is madness, isn't it? I mean, you may as well have sent out boats to bring William the Conqueror in. There's a conquering army coming in. You may as well send out the lifeboats to drag them all in and say, take over.
Do you think Nigel Farage could be the next Prime Minister?
No, don't.
Why? That was a very certain answer. Why?
We've just passed a stall. There's a Nigel Farage mug next to a Gollywog mug, and that says it all.
So.
And that is exactly what the man is. Racist,
Yes.
millionaire who is looking after himself. And people are so foolish. I remember Brexit with that red bus and all those millions that were coming to the NHS. I work in the NHS. Didn't see a penny of it. Lies, lies, lies. The man is a liar.
So as somebody in the NHS, you think Labour are going to
Yeah, they're
send
doing
the
it
country
already.
in the right direction?
Yeah, waiting lists are going down. They're getting rid of the Quango, NHS England. Definitely doing the right thing. Got to bite the bullets for another 6 months at least.
Yeah, I mean, I was at the market yesterday, in Shropshire, and there was a Reform stand there, and they told me they'd had Reform banners up, and it was all slashed and ripped up. I thought to myself, why would anybody do that? It's a free, you're still a free country. You should be allowed to vote for who you want and talk about who you want without any fear of intimidation, shouldn't you? But I fear the left are really bad for that myself. Mm-hmm.
And where do Labour fit in with that? Because obviously someone like Keir Starmer would say, well, I don't condone that sort of thing. I believe in free expression. Or do you think he's two-tier Keir? And that's with Keir with a hijab.
Yeah. See, you made you laugh, didn't it?
Well, it's quite an arresting image.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are not reading behind the headlines, basically. A lot of people are hung up as well on losing the winter fuel allowance.
Yes.
The King got the winter fuel allowance. Millionaires got the winter fuel allowance. Get real, people.
The trouble with the Labour government, they are doing good things, but they look like they're doing terrible things. They know better than the Tories were. So they need to be able to say what good things they're doing, as well as taking our pensions and everything off, the welfare state.
And why do you think that is? Do you think that's just a failure of communications?
I think it's a failure of communication, and politicians today don't actually know how the rest of the country live.
Where are you from then, originally?
Originally from... No, my dad's Iranian. I was born in Bournemouth.
Yeah. So you class yourself as British?
See, this is a really interesting debate.
Because you don't look like Muslim to me.
Yeah.
You're not a Muslim?
No.
No.
I'm a Roman Catholic.
There you
My
go.
mum was a
There
Roman
you go,
Catholic.
The reason why I'm angry at Labour is that they've got this huge landslide, and it could have been the perfect moment to change the ideology, to put new things in place, but they haven't. They've just carried on.
Do you think that this government could be the handmaid to a reform government, to a Nigel Farage premiership?
No, I don't think so. No, not because historically Britain hasn't been, to a right fascist sort of party. They tried in the 30s, but it didn't work. And the polls show that we're a tolerant nation.
I think someone like you coming over, your family, who integrated that well and all that, I think it's fantastic for immigration. But anybody that says to me that this immigration isn't a problem in this country, I mean, they've got their bed in the ground, haven't they?
What's immigration? You could, I'm sure, say several issues, but what one thing has immigration made worse, in particular, that stands out for you?
It's Islamic immigration. That's the one. I'll be honest with you, it is. And people should not be able to get handouts if you've never put the money into the pot first. I don't understand that.
As you get old, you get fixed. Yeah, you do. You become rigid in your thinking. Whether that's because your brain isn't flexible anymore. You also become uncompassionate as you get old. You become sort of flog 'em and hang 'em, and petrol's not good enough. It's just, you find it happens to you. Your old age brings rigidity of thought, I'm afraid.
Really, really interesting conversations. We were just walking through Frodsham Market. Now, I spoke to a lot of market traders. They were very optimistic about reform, very critical of Labour. Caveat though, those are the bread and butter for reform. Small businesses, market traders, as Karl Marx would call them, the petty bourgeois. What did stick out though, was the lady who was a lifelong Conservative voter who voted Labour for the first time in July 2024. And now she's tempted to vote for reform. People like her were the monomaniacal obsession of people like Keir Starmer and Morgan McSweeney. Those Tory Labour swing voters, we have to win those people. That was their project. Well, you know what she said? Within weeks of voting for Labour at that general election, I regretted my vote. Where there is a positive message about Labour, they say, this is happening, but the party can't convey it, they can't communicate it. We're doing so well on this, but nobody knows. Even if that's true, well, if nobody knows, it doesn't bode well for a by-election, does it? We're going to go to Runcorn now. Like I say, slightly different area in terms of political complexion, but I'm really eager to hear what people have to say in beautiful Runcorn. So we've just left Frodsham and we've come to somewhere called Shopping City. It's an out-of-town shopping centre a few miles outside of Runcorn. This place was built in the 70s and it really has seen better days. When I see this, I just think, what's the plan? What's the plan for this country? How are we going to live? How are we going to shop? How are we going to build? How do we get places? What does public transport look like? And I look at this and I just think, look, chipboard, graffiti, car park, rubbish. There is no plan. Nobody has a plan. This is what happens when you just, quote unquote, leave stuff to the market. So Reform are apparently based here. I'm very eager to find them, see what they have to say for themselves. Before we do, I wanted to speak to a few people shopping here, sitting around, having a cup of coffee. Am I being unfair on Shopping City? Is it one of the sites that one must visit whenever one comes to Runcorn?
Always voted Labour, always.
If they come back to me, change what's going on in this country, maybe might be a bit different. But at the moment, no. And we do need help in Runcorn. You've just been walking around this place.
It's been better days, hasn't it?
Better days, 100%.
It's like every high street, isn't it? It's a shame.
They're all the same, aren't they? There's no difference between them.
Labour, Reform, who's...
Yeah, they're all as bad as each other. I wouldn't trust any of them.
The whole town's going to crap.
Well, yeah, look at it. Like, you used to have cinema there, Disney Dragons over there. Like, there's nothing these kids can do anymore.
Like, the shops up the shopping city, they're all closing. So, you know, we're going to have nothing left soon.
The price of council tax towards what? Like, really? So what is this?
We've got to travel up to Widnes, Liverpool, just to have a good day out.
And
there's nothing left.
Holton's a poor area anyway, so, you know, some people here really don't have much money and they are, like, really struggling. So, you know, paying to, like, travel and that, you know what I mean? It all adds up because stuff is so expensive these days, you know what I mean? Even Greggs is more expensive, like, than it used to be. No, well, that used to be, like, so cheap to go and get a sausage roll for your kid and that. And now...
No, it used to be, like, 50p for a sausage roll, and now it's, like, £1.30 or something.
Yeah.
So we just tried to grab you a few minutes ago, sir. Then you come back out and you said, look...
Well, I just wanted to set it straight that and let you know that I certainly would not vote Reform. Just wanted that to be clear. Certainly wouldn't vote for them.
But Labour aren't tempting you either.
Well, no, I've always voted Labour, but I don't trust Labour at the minute as well. I'm probably tending to vote Green, probably. I don't want to single out any. There's a few Labour MPs that I really do like. Andy Burnham for one. A few others that are brilliant, but it comes from the top, doesn't it?
You're not a fan of Keir Starmer?
No, not at all.
So we are in Shopping City. We're outside the Reform office. I can see Richard Tice. I can see the candidate, Sarah Pochin. Will they make time for little old Novara media? Maybe not. We can always ask. So Richard Tice, Deputy Reform Leader and MP for Boston and Skegness. How are you?
Fantastic, and it's been great campaigning on the doors today in Runcorn Helsby. This is tight. I mean, it's going to be so close. It's exciting. It's a two-horse race. Our candidate is clearly the best candidate, but it is the 16th safest Labour seat, so every single vote will count.
And do you think the vote is more anti-Starmer, anti-Labour, or Reform actually propositionally or offering something that people are excited about?
I think it's a combination of all those things. The winter fuel allowance is a massive issue. The cost of bills, the cost of living, and all of that is driven by the cost of energy, the electricity bills, gas bills. People are fuming, and people know. I spoke to someone this morning. She's got 2 jobs, and she's wondering, where does all the money go? How come I've got so little money in my bank account at the end of the month? Overtaxed, overbilled, and these are the issues that are hitting people.
You said some things about some choice words about Labour. Do you think they're going to win in Runcorn?
Labour hasn't got a fucking prayer of winning. I'm from Prestwich, Manchester, Bury, which is a stronghold for Labour. He's a lying piece of shit, and everyone knows about it now.
So would you be inclined to vote for Reform, personally? Do you think Farage can sort the country out?
From what he's saying, I'm inclined to vote for him more than I am Conservatives or Labour at the moment.
But you said they all piss in the same pot. Do you think he does as well, or is he different?
He seems different. He seems a bit more straighter. I don't know. Once he gets in, he might be an arsehole like the rest of them.
But you're willing to give him a shake?
Yeah.
So we're back in the old town of Runcorn. This is really where the sort of safe Labour wards are. Okay. So if you're a Labour canvasser and you're feeling despondent, you've gone to other parts of the constituency, this would be the place that cheers you up. And if you win, it's going to get you over the line. So what people think about Reform here specifically is probably quite important. Well, let's see what they've got to say for themselves. Madam, can I ask you about the by-election next week? No? How about this old dude with a walking stick? Yeah. Classic. Can I talk to you about the by-election next week? Who you planning to vote for? No? This is a tough crowd. Probably Labour.
Yeah. Voted for them at the election. It's better than Reform.
Who do you think's going to win?
Probably Reform at this point. I don't know why, it just seems like it.
Is that what people are sort of saying in the general environment? How are you feeling about Keir Starmer generally and Labour generally, having voted for them in July 2024?
Could have been doing better. I think he's lost a lot of spot. But I think it's mostly all around like the older generation. He's lost a lot of spot.
So people your age, you think they're generally still sticking with Labour?
Yeah, well, I think people my age will do, because we don't really go for reform at this point, but it's Nigel Farage, so who's to say at this point?
You're not registered to vote?
I'm not.
So you know that this is, I presume you know this is a Labour constituency at the moment, do you know that?
Yes.
Politically, what do you hear? What do your parents say? What do your mates' parents say? Anything at all?
I don't hear much about it.
You don't hear much about it? No? Who would you like to be in charge?
Nigel Farage.
Nigel Farage? Yeah. Why?
Because he's sound.
Do you think Reform could win here next week?
I don't know, because I found myself thinking, would I vote for him when I saw him on the telly the other week? Because he was talking about the steel. We are a bit stupid here, aren't we? We're leaving ourselves wide open, aren't we?
So you think Nigel Farage talking about things like British Steel and Scunthorpe, that's going to persuade lots of people who may not have been persuaded in the past?
It's not just for jobs, is it? It's for our future. And it sounded quite plausible. And it made me think, oh, maybe he's not a prat like some people say he is.
Who are you voting for?
Reform.
Reform?
Yes.
Who did you vote for in the last general election?
I voted Labour, but I think they've let this town down massively.
And what's made you change your mind about Labour in the last 10 months then?
You've only got to look around yourself. The state of the place. This used to be a bustling town back in the 80s, early 90s, and look at the state of it now. I'll be honest with you, it's a shithole.
What's the? I mean, you've talked about High Street, but what's the single big issue that you think Reform need to solve?
It's the housing issue, the immigration. That's what it is with me, my personal opinion. Yeah, and you've only got to speak to other people around the town who've been brought up in my area, and they'll all say the same.
Who do you think is going to win next week?
Reform.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do.
Handsomely, or they'll squeeze it, or?
Not as handsomely as me.
Who are you planning to vote for?
Well, I've had a good look at what they've all got to say, and I'd rather vote for one of these sausage rolls, to tell you the truth.
Than any of the candidates?
Yeah. They're just all the same. They just tell you what you want to hear, just to get your vote. And they don't mean any of it. Never have.
So the Reform candidate isn't tempting you?
Good God, no. No, I'd rather hit myself on the head with a hammer than vote for him.
I don't think people do care about poorer people anymore, in the politicians or in the people. We're very different people. Once we started selling things and buying shares, which of course that was a little trick so they could get their hands on the stuff, but people didn't see that and went, oh, I'll have a bit of that. Everyone's sort of a bit like that, aren't they? And I'm very sad that they are like that, rather than caring a bit more.
So we're on the train back from Runcorn, after a long day in Runcorn and Helsby, going back to London Euston. What did we learn today? It's pretty obvious that Reform are going to do quite well. I suspect they'll win this seat. They're winning votes from both the Conservative Party and Labour. That's what all the polling shows. I was, however, surprised at the extent to which Labour votes are either disappearing or that people who are still planning to vote Labour have nothing positive to say about them. The best thing that Labour voters said to me today was give them more time. I don't think that's a particularly solid message. Secondly, the candidate for Reform, Sarah Pochin, I don't think is a particularly impressive politician. She seems quite heavily coded as a Conservative, as a Tory. When we went to the Reform headquarters, we got to speak to Richard Tice. And the reason why Richard Tice was so enthusiastic to speak to us was because it meant that Sarah Pochin could escape through the back door. Time after time, speaking to people who plan to vote Reform today, I was told, I'm voting for him, I'm voting for Nigel, I'm voting for Mr. Farage, and I really doubt Sarah Pochin and her personal political brand is going to win Reform many votes. Thirdly, conversations around immigration, whether legal or illegal, documented or undocumented, have really changed, even to 9-10 months ago. Before it was almost a bit apologetic. I'm not racist, but I think some immigration is good, but now people are comparing it to conquest, invasion, replacement. It's now just part of the everyday political conversation in this country. Labour have to learn to address that. And frankly, the broader left has to learn how to respond to that. The rhetoric has changed at lightning speed. Finally, the story of the 2024 general election was the discrediting of the Conservative Party. What we're beginning to see now in 2025, I think, and we saw it today for sure, is the discrediting of the Labour Party. That seems to me the trajectory we're now on. So 24, the collapse of the Tories. 29, in Nigel Farage's mind at least, the collapse of the Labour Party. And then after that, we don't really have a template for what happens next. I hope you enjoyed this video. We love getting on the road here at Novara Media, or on the train in our case right now. Where should we go next? There probably won't be any more elections in England for the rest of 2025. There may be a by-election, but that's not the plan right now. So if there aren't, where should we be visiting? What stories should we be paying attention to? I learned so much from getting outside the M25, from getting outside the southeast of England, and just talking to regular people. It's the most valuable part of my entire job. So where should I go? What region? What nation? What town? What city? What village? We're very much open to suggestions, so much so, put it in the comments below. Let us know. And of course, if you haven't already, don't forget, subscribe to our channel.